Subscribe for the very latest.
Play it, Daddy.
Chord Room, more than a podcast.
And most majority of people I've seen that has made it to that level of life from a standpoint of like, especially like building something like an actual business, it's very hard for them to undo sometimes the coldness that comes with that, because you have to be at some level, have a cutthroat element to you to get through those stretches where stuff not happen correctly for either a short or a long period of time. So but you know, it's 2024. It's been wild. I've seen a lot of people just getting their stuff, this legacy just destroyed because of this.
Mr. McMahon, first of all,
a lot of stuff, man, coming to light. A lot of stuff coming to light.
Mr. McMahon's a great documentary, man.
So, man, but
yeah,
it was interesting too, because they explored the whole thing with Chris Benoit. Because I was reading the news, I was reading the headlines when that was going off, and even back then, 2000, this is like 2007, 2008, when that happened, I'm like, when I was reading, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is horrible. This is really horrible. And but the cool thing is I shouldn't say cool thing, but what's interesting with this documentary is they explored and shed some light on it, because there was a former wrestler who he suffered a concussion, and he retired from that, and so he explored more information about it. And he come to find out that Chris Benoit was suffering from like an extreme case of, a concussion, a disorder that was started out by concussions in your brain.
Yeah, but that Chris Benoit, it was wild.
Yeah, listen, man. This Mr. McMahon documentary is a really
a trip.
Really, really good documentary, man. Like, I was really impressed. But I was really impressed on how open Mr. McMahon was to how candid he was. He was very candid about who he is. But you know what? It really gives me a good idea on who he is. And he was really transparent about how his father was to him. And all it did really is make a worse man. Like just like he was worse than his father.
He was. I think he was. He was more cold, man. He was very, very cold. Very cold.
Well, here's the thing.
Narcissistic in a sense.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, most businessmen are very cold, right? Like, I think that most of them, not all of them, right? I think they all have some type of, first understand that, he built this thing, right? Him and his father built this thing. But as time goes on, there's a lot of spiritual elements that's coming into play. That's what's around him, right? You talking about drugs, you talking about money, right? It's a lot of little demons hanging around WWE and
sex.
Right, exactly. So when
a lot of that.
Right. Yeah. So we talking about here's what you got to notice about that. Things got better when he started to make an effort to go the PG route. He tried to make he started making more money making lighter content. Right? He got more, I think he got more sponsors. He started, making it drug free, or less drug free. Because I'm sure somebody was using steroids.
For sure.
But I think he's employed by the business,
and that's what that was actually what was guiding him to do the moral things. If the business said you do moral things and you get more money, he was okay with it. Right. So, I mean, honestly, that's a classic. That's a very traditional, textbook definition of idolatry, right there. That's a clear textbook form of idolatry. He does anything for the business, and that's his idol.
That's a good point, because the business is dictating what Paul's. It's telling him. It's telling him what to do. It's no different than the golden calf, right? Like, it's no different than the golden calf. Like, they pray to the golden calf. Oh, what should I do? What should I do? And the devil tell them what to do, because they really talking to a golden calf, right? Like, they ain't talking to nothing. The calf. You know what's crazy? And this relates to both of them. Like, how these people that built the golden calf. So what the golden calf is made out of. It ain't. It's nothing but whatever you put into it. But then you tell it, you say it gives you powers. This thing, like the WWE, you built it. And yes, it's giving you money, but it's tainted in many ways, and you know it. Right? Like, it's just one of these things. Like, it's a weird thing, because at the same time, this thing is building. It's like giving families money, right? Like, it's taking care of families. It's allowing people to live out their dreams. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a lot of things in here that the WWE was doing for a lot of people. So it's a fine line there, man. It's good to build a business, but you can't allow the business. You can't allow the business to take you to determine what your life is going to be like.
Yeah,
facts.
So I think another component. I don't know if it was mentioned in the doc, because I haven't watched it, but I watched the Nitro versus Raw documentary, and I think things got expedited during that time frame for Vince. I think Vince was kind of probably in a decent place from a morality and business standpoint. Then when WCW started getting hot and start taking their talent, I think it caused him to do certain things he probably had to kind of try to reconcile in his own, in his own spirit about things. And then I think the business took over that, and it just, because WCW, it was wild for a minute. Like, that 2-year stretch from 96 to 98 or closer to 99. I mean, that's when the Attitude Era became into effect, because they had to compete with WCW. It was like every Monday they was on at the same time, and WWE, or at that time WWF, went from a very safe product into a very raunchy product. Like, they was out here, they were showing a lot of, they was showing TNA, and it was Stone Cold, Rock, all them was cursing. Like, it was wild. So from that time frame, then they try to bring it back to PG once, kind of like probably late 2008, 10. That's when John Cena became the franchise player. Mm-hmm. But for probably like a 10-year stretch, I think Vince McMahon had to start doing stuff, and then it was, you can hear the stories. He's like, during that time frame, they was wow.
Yeah, his body.
He was, woo, Jesus. That's
But the thing about it though also is that, I mean, if you really think about it, he wasn't doing nothing different than what he was really doing. See, everything was taken from real life things, right? You know, it was taken from like real life situations. Like, all right, so in the 80s, he had the Iron Sheik. He had Nikolai Volkov, right? He took Nikolai Volkov, he took the Iron Sheik and made them imitate what was going on overseas already, right? You know how America views Russia, how America, how America views, people overseas. And then, so a lot of that was already going on at the time. But then he started taking other things out of his imagination, things that he wanted to do, i.e., remember when he drugged Linda? Was it Linda McMahon? You remember that whole scheme he had when he drugged Linda McMahon, and he had an affair with one of the people one of the WWE women's side of the thing, right? And for me, he wanted to do that. These are things that he wanted to do. This ain't like, oh yeah, this is be good for ratings. No, you wanted to do that because I'm gonna tell you straight up.
Start twisting fantasies.
And she a fool for doing it. Because
she was putting information on the storyline too.
Right. My wife, you crazy. You think that my wife is going to, I come to tell you like, listen, hey, I got a good pitch. Let's drug you. And then I kiss this woman in front of you. He said, boy, if you don't get out my face with that nonsense, you see what I'm saying? But she started drinking the Kool-Aid too. You feel me? Like she started drinking the Kool-Aid too. So now here we go. He gets the act out thing, because all of these storylines, for the most part, came from Vince.
Yep.
You feel what I'm saying? So he's on some he was on some like some other stuff, dog. Like he's real, like I feel like he was just living out his dreams or living out the things that he wanted to do. And now so all right, so peep the psychology though, because it's crazy. You're living in two worlds. The real world and your imagination. And you're getting paid from this, right?
Yep.
But you're living out your fantasies. You're living out, your dreams. Because remember, so the guy that he emulates Mr. McMahon, the character to on WWE, is this guy who was a wrestler before him that was in the his father's side of WWF.
Yeah. He was a villain.
Right, he was a villain. So all of the things that he wanted to do, the strut that strut that he got coming down the that's all from that character, from that guy, that villain that he had, that his father had. So not only is he out here, he's out here with all that, with the women, and he's literally making on camera. He's making these women strip. He's in the middle of the ring. He's making these women, if you want your job, strip, right? Like he's doing, he's doing all of this stuff, right? This is this. I put my whole life savings on it. He's doing this.
Not the savings.
The whole 401k. He doing this behind the scenes. There's no way.
So that kind of basically correlates to that time frame I was speaking of, because it changed from a very kind of fictional storytelling to reality-based storytelling. So So then it got real well. He he was using, because beforehand it was just like he was making up weird characters. I mean, outside of the ones that were successful like Yoko, Undertaker, etc. But you had the Doink the Clown, IRS. Some of these ones just like, bro, this don't.
Right.
All right, we get it. But once he got to like that mid 90s when he switched over to reality base, that's when the Pandora box got open and he could no longer close it. Like everything was kind of fair game, where he was having again TNA, like he had the situation with Sable. Right. It got wild, and he had what's the dude's name? The Godfather with the pimp and hoes. It was. Now as a teenager, this was a great time. Like, oh man, Monday night.
I cannot lie to you.
Monday night was
Raw was raw.
Facts.
It was crazy
Really
on Raw, right?
Hey,
and,
listen.
To be a teenager, we should have been watching, right?
Hell no.
We should have been watching. It's like it was
Nah.
wow. But you know what? The thing about what you're saying though, Chuck, is that the reason why it wouldn't stop because it was working.
Yes. Facts. Yeah.
It's not.
it was the business saying it's good.
Right.
Hey.
It's working. So why am I stopping? Why am I stopping this? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's working. So now he's just now here's what I admire about him though. I can't even for real, to stay afloat when WCW, when NWO and the Outsiders and all that stuff was popping.
Man.
That was amazing, bro. Like he went toe to toe with these people, even when he lost his
We're killing in the
inventory.
ratings, man.
But you think about this. He's doing this. He's like, you know what? He did. You know what was that Jay-Z line? He said, "Oh, you something about I can build another Jay."
Right.
He said, that's what Vince said. You want to steal all my top talent. You want to take Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, who else? The Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, etc. Pretty much at one point in time, WCW had half of WWE's roster.
Yep.
And he said, you know what? That's cool. I'll go build a whole nother roster with Stone Cold, The Rock, Mankind, so on and so forth. So it was just like the way he pulled that off was impeccable. Because man, it was from 96 to 97. They was teetering, like they was in the red. They was just like, we need somebody to be the franchise. And once Stone Cold took off, and then The Rock followed him, it was over. It was.
See, and
man,
it became a gift and a curse, right? Because he realizes once everything started happening, he realized his first mistake. He was like, "Yo, why did I not just build more characters? Why did I fall into this trap where I should have just built better, like newer characters, right?"
Facts.
So he spent a lot of time chasing his tail, right? Like he's going in circles, right? So then, it's crazy the way Rocky with The Rock and Stone Cold, because Stone Cold is a character. I want to say he was from WCW first. I think he was.
Crazy as it sound, when he started in WCW, he looked more like Ric Flair.
Right.
He had the long blonde hair. He was like,
right.
And then once and the crazy part even more was once he got to WWE, and his wife helped with the name, because she was like, "Hey, yo, T is getting Stone Cold." He's like, "Perfect, that's what I needed."
Right.
And then they helped change his image to like the all black, and because him and Goldberg literally was creating their characters at the same time. That's what they looking like. Like literally, they at the exact same time they was having a very similar. Bald head, the black attire, black boots. Like it was very, the same. So, but yeah, like I don't know, man. I think that just it was Vince was such ahead of his time. And sometimes what happens in life is, I think Vince until WCW got very comfortable with the gimmicky stuff, and I think he had to really he had to go in that toolkit to really build from scratch characters. And once he figured that out, it was kind of off to the races. Because WCW, once they took all their talent, they didn't have real good storylines.
They got lazy.
Outside that,
they got lazy.
After that Goldberg run he had, like it was 176-0. They didn't have any other real, like NWO became the whole company, so it got boring quick. So that's when WWE just started.
They got lazy,
man, real quick. I mean,
like this, and this is, understand this. Anybody who's watching this, this is a great example on how you have to continually change. Because that's what Vince McMahon did. He never stopped changing. Eric Bischoff?
Gotta grow.
Eric Bischoff got complacent. Because they was on a good run. It was on a good run. But when they got complacent, that's when Vince McMahon got you. Because Vince, you can say what you want about him. He ain't never complacent. You know what you
also got to take into consideration, man, about the share when WCW was getting merged with Time Warner. That was another thing that contributed to WCW's downfall.
Right. And we already know how the homie what's my dog name?
Turner was
we know how Turner get down. We live in Georgia, so we know how Turner get down, right? So
he wow.
Oh man, he was a wild man, man. He was a wild man. But it's just one of those things where you cannot be complacent. Vince continuously changed, and he said, that didn't work. All right, let's try this. I'm gonna tell you one weird thing before we go up this topic. Did you? Well, you haven't seen the documentary, Chuck, or maybe you saw it on the documentary that you saw. But he had a storyline where he was trying to get Stephanie pregnant.
Sick.
You feel what I'm saying? Like, yo, what? Yo, oh man, that's crazy. I think real talk. I think Tay would divorce me just off the fact that I even said something like that out of my mouth. And I would,
first and foremost, you wouldn't even conjure up the words to say it. You wouldn't even.
That's what I'm saying.
You'd be like, nah.
Right, like, come on. It's not even gonna, like, it's the dumbest thing. But he would do any and everything to make it, like, you know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of a lot of the rappers in the 90s where they would say any and everything to get those eyebrows raised. They were like you said that? Like the shock rap. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of shock rap going on back in the 90s. And a lot of suspect things they used to say just to get you to say, yo, this dude, like, you know how we do. You know how black people say the craziest thing is to say, oh, this dude crazy. We want to get that out you know what I mean? And it was a lot of that. And the other last thing, right? Appreciate the pause.
Really.
So the other last thing is that the correlation between Donald Trump and WWE was crazy.
Oh yeah.
The fact that they were saying how Donald Trump, his whole makeup comes from when he was on WWE was crazy. I was like, yo, that's insane. Because all the producers like, yo, they said Donald Trump was a great fit for WWE when he was on there. Mm-hmm. It was a great fit. But when I watched it, and they alluded to it too, they was like, "Yo, it's the same thing. It's the same thing he does as a politician. Just food for thought.
He definitely he's a character,
right?
that is, yeah. That's facts.
He definitely. Hey, but we didn't even get the show started.
And to move on, I know Trent finna hit us with these Trump shoes, and I'm like,
all of that. Right.
Yeah,
hey.
and y'all still ain't. I mean, come on, man. It's right there.
We ain't doing that.
Nah.
You ever struggle to find your words? You know how you feel, but you just don't know how to express it. Somebody out there understand what I'm talking about. Somebody out there understand. All I can say is that I wish she was walking my way, but she don't even notice me. I don't exist. Deeper than rap, graffiti, break dancing, DJ and b-boy stance, MCing. I harness those artifacts, collecting data of the transitions like an almanac. Hip-hop ain't dead, these young boys different, adapting. Over time, every day the world's spinning. Let's celebrate the fact we still winning, we global. Kids from the project became moguls. Real to real track boards to Pro Tools, vinyls, cassettes, and the tape decks, CDs. Now you can stream your music to the consumer direct and get most of the check. I'm noble. And with that, I gotta respect that you ain't gotta accept that you can ride and get left, yo. Bars beyond ground level.